Welcome to the Guitar J YouTube channel. My name is Miles, and today I'm going to tell you how to learn the major scale on the guitar. And we're going to start by looking at a single string major scale. So you're going to go to your first fret of your B string, and that there is your C note. And C is the root note of arguably the most common major scale, the C major scale. And what you're going to do is you're going to follow what we call the major scale formula, which will result in this. So you're going to go to C, and then we're going to follow the formula whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. I want you to remember that. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So you have your root note, then you go up a whole step, up a whole step, up a half step, up a whole, up a whole, up a whole, up a half. And that's your major scale formula applied to a single string. So root note, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And that gives you C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C at that octave right there. And if you want those fret numbers, it's 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. So that's arguably the easiest way to play the major scale on the guitar, and one of the first ways I think every guitar player should learn to play the major scale. And then there are two other really common methods for playing the major scale. The first is called the cage system, and then the second method is called the 3 notes per string system. Now, you can Google both of these, but the cage system is based on your 5 open cage shapes, C, A, G, E, and D. And it takes that system and you'll take the intervals from those chords and then you'll build these scale shapes around them. That's how the cage system works. But I think the cage system is best for learning arpeggios, and it's also very effective for memorizing standard major shapes across the entire fretboard. But my favorite system for memorizing the major scale across the entire fretboard is the 3 notes per string system. It's just what I prefer. It's very linear because it's 3 notes on each string. And since there are 7 degrees of the major scale, all of these shapes connect, and there's only 7 shapes, right? So there's a shape for each degree of the scale. So if we're in G major, for example, this would be your 3 notes per string shape number 1. Then shape number 2, shape 3, shape 4, shape 5, shape 6, and then shape 7, and then back to shape 1. And you can find the tabs for the 3 notes per string shapes in the description below. And you can just Google it. 3 notes per string major scale shapes are everywhere. They're easy to find. I even have a YouTube video about it, so you can search for that on my channel. So there's the 3 notes per string shape, there's the cage system, and then there's also visualizing the major scale in octaves. So you can just take a common major scale shape that you really like and move it to a new octave. For example, if we're in G major, you could play 2, 3, 5 on E and A, and then you could play 2, 4, 5 on the D string. And that right there is a really straightforward G major shape. We end on the octave of G, our root note, which is at the 3rd fret E, but we're starting a half step down from G just to make it a straightforward 3 notes per string shape. And then what you can do is you can use that same finger structure and move it to the new root note. So you could go to the 5th fret of your D string. Oh, sorry, you'd go to the 4th fret, which we're starting at F sharp, and you'd play 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 5, 7, 8. So altogether, you'd have 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5. 2, 4, 5 on E, A, and D. And then you go to 4 of the D string and you'd play 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7. And then on the B string, you'd play 5, 7, 8. All together. Or you could move it over here to the 11th fret G and play 11, 12, 14 of G, 12, 13, 15 of B, 12, 14, 15 of high E. But you can do this with any shape in your major scale. Like I just played the first position of the 3 notes per string shapes, which was 3, 5, 7 on E and A, and 4, 5, 7 on the D string. And you can take that finger structure and move it to the new root note as well. That would give you 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7 on E, A, and D. And then on the D, G, and B strings, you'd have 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 9, and B, 7, 8, 10. And we're just continuing to use first, middle, pinky, first, middle, pinky, first, middle, pinky. First, middle, pinky, first, middle, pinky, first, middle, pinky. So as you can see, as you start to come up with all these different finger structures, all these different shapes, all these different major shapes, it'll become a lot easier to visualize the major scale across the fretboard. All you need to do is learn where the root note is, and that means you're going to need to memorize the notes on the fretboard. I also have a video about memorizing notes on the fretboard on my channel, so you can look that up. But long story short, the best way to learn the major scale on guitar is by starting with a single string major shape, like the C scale, and then you're going to learn your 3 notes per string shapes. And last but not least, you can work on your octave shapes. And that's how you can learn to play the major scale on the guitar. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if this was of any value to you. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. We covered a ton in this video, and it would take me hours to cover everything about visualizing the major scale on guitar. Hours. And I didn't want you to have to waste hours learning about the major scale. I wanted to give you as much value as possible in as little time as possible. So thank you so much for checking out this guitar lesson, and I hope you have a fantastic day.